Hey, so you feeling unmotivated? I know what you're looking for. How do you get back going, right? Well, I got 5 ways to make that happen. Check it out. Hey, it's Kirk Duncan here. And have you ever noticed those days when they show up where you just don't want to do anything? You know those days where you're just like completely unmotivated? Well, hey, I know exactly how that feels. And boy, when those days show up, you can hardly get anything done. It's like you start out the day and you don't even want to get out of bed. Or maybe you're sitting in your office and you just don't want to work. You just don't want to do anything. Having those moments happen every once in a while, it's okay because you're human, but what happens when it goes all day long? And what happens when it goes from one day to the next day to the next day? Well, then we got to start taking a look at this and go, okay, why am I so unmotivated? What's happened to me? And I bet you have those questions happen to you where you're starting to really question, what is going on with me? And you start to really think about the fact, maybe there's something wrong. Well, hey, guess what? I got 5 ways that can guarantee you're going to get out of that unmotivated stage and get you back up and going. Now, if you got to take a break, you take a break. But when you're unmotivated, it's starting to cost the family, or it's starting to cost your job at work, or it's starting to cost your self-esteem. So sooner or later, you might want to use these 5 steps here to be able to bust out of this and not be stuck in that unmotivated zone and get back into having really that vitality in life. That whole energy about who you are. Get back to feeling good about who you are. So I got 5 different things that I've done because I've hit this place so many times, and I finally had to come up with literally some steps that I can take that are going to guarantee I'm going to get myself out of that particular zone that I'm in. Because boy, if you don't figure this out and you don't figure out what exactly to do, you could get stuck in that place and really not know if you're ever going to get out. So the first one is, check this out. First one is, it's called the M&M. Music and movement. Music and movement. I know, and it's like you don't really have to do anything for this first one. All you gotta do is you gotta get on your phone, or maybe you got one of those good old CD players or something like that, or get on your computer. Click on some music. Because music, no matter if you're unmotivated or motivated, music starts to seep through the skin and actually get deep down inside your soul. And when it's good music, and it's got a beat to it, and it's got a rhythm to it, it starts to move who you are on the inside. You might be the kind of person that tries to resist the movement, to kind of move a little bit to go along with music, but just let it naturally happen. And when you turn on the music and you start to feel the movement start to happen inside of you, if it doesn't happen within the first song, it's okay. Usually it takes about 3 or 4 songs before it starts to shift the way you're thinking and the way you're feeling on the inside. But music is going to create movement. And when you start to feel it, because you know what it's going to be like, you're going to be laying there or sitting there and listening to the music, and all of a sudden one of those songs, you're going to find yourself tapping your pencil or tapping your foot, or you start to like head bop or move around like this. And when that starts to happen, it's okay. It's just a nice little subtle way to start moving you out of that stuck zone of feeling unmotivated. After you play the music, and after you start to feel that movement happen inside your body, the next thing is very, very natural, but most people don't understand this part of what you need to do next. You got to take a moment and rant and literally vent about what has been going on recently in your life. You see, one of the reasons why you're unmotivated is because something happened. Somebody said something didn't go right, you got bummed out, you got frustrated about something, but there's something going on inside that happened a couple days ago, a couple weeks ago, a couple months ago. But when you start to use music and movement, you start to move and start to get going, but then that old story's still sitting inside you. Hey, and it's okay, when nobody's around, you start to remember what it is that happened. And it's naturally gonna happen. That story or that moment's gonna come back to you like, oh yeah, I remember what happened. You see, because what happens is, when that moment happens, we sink in our own personal energy, we sink down, and then we sink down a little bit further and we forget what that experience was. So music and movement's gonna move you back up into remembering what it was that really triggered you to go into that unmotivated state. When it comes up, don't worry, it's not gonna shut you back down, because this time you now know, I've got to rant, I've got to vent. So how do you do that? Well, you could just sit there and complain about what happened, or write it down, or just maybe just start to walk through that scenario again. But the whole reason you're doing this is to get it out of you and to be able to talk yourself through it. Now, most people will go to another individual and rant or complain, but you don't want to do that because then you look like you're a complainer and you look like, you're just blaming people and complaining about things. Don't do that. This is something you do yourself. And this is something that you are working on getting that whole story out of you. Because as long as it sits inside your head, it could trigger you to go back down and be unmotivated again. But with the music and movement, it's going to pull that story up. And when the story comes up, talk the story out. Talk about it. If nobody's around, it's not called complaining. If nobody's around, it's not called blaming. It's called venting. And you, my friend, must vent. And it doesn't matter how old you are. You could be 10 years old. You could be 85 years old. You could be a business owner. You could be a parent. You could be anybody. But if you don't vent that story out and literally get it out of you and rant about it, it's going to come back to you and put you back in the unmotivated zone. So rant and vent. Okay, next step. Super important. After you rant and vent, you got to start finding what's going good in your life. Because people who are in this unmotivated state, they usually got something that happened to them. And this is the other problem is they're not actually counting what's good. I mean, seriously, if you don't have a list of 10, 20, 30 reasons of what you're grateful for, you don't really have much personal power. Because the reason why you're unmotivated, because you didn't have the power to be able to get up and above the story that happened or the situation that happened. So to guarantee you don't go back to being unmotivated means you got to have 10, 20, 30 reasons of things that you're grateful for. What are those? What are the 10 or 20 or 30 things that you're grateful for? And if you can't think of over 5 or 6, maybe it's time to get a pad of paper and a pen and begin searching and looking around you and finding those things. Because this builds the personal power so you don't sink back down in that unmotivated zone. Because this is not healthy. It's not healthy. It totally drains your self-esteem, drops your self-confidence, and this can literally start to affect your relationships, and not in a good way. So this is extremely costly. So it's super important to come up with a grateful list. Now, if you want to really make sure you're really good and strong, I would highly suggest coming up with a list of 100 things that you're grateful for. I know, it's a lot, isn't it? 100? Are you serious? That's a lot. But hey, once you hit the unmotivated zone too many times, you're like, I never want to go back there again. So you got to clear that story out of you, not to another person, just to yourself, and then start building this grateful list. And you'll find people who are highly motivated and keep getting their things done every day, they know what they're grateful for. And you're fine, you're not in trouble, you didn't do anything wrong, but you may have forgot. And which is very, very normal for a human being to forget about the good things in life. We tend to want to be fix-it people and we look for what's wrong, we always want to make things better, but we tend to forget this. So make yourself, and if you can only do 10, it's starting somewhere. Now after you create this grateful list, the other thing is to clean up. You know who you are. When you take care of yourself, maybe it's time to shave. Maybe it's time to shave your legs. Maybe you haven't shaved your legs for a while because you've been unmotivated. Usually when you're unmotivated, you don't wash your hair for a couple days. You don't even change your clothes. You're wearing the same pairs of sweats you wore a couple days ago. And you probably have not been taking care of yourself. So it's time to clean up. Get all cleaned up the way you usually are. But get yourself cleaned up, because when you take care of yourself, you're actually showing and expressing how grateful you are for who you are. And that supports your list of gratitude, which also supports the fact that you're not going to get triggered and go back down into that lower level of living. And it helps you because that keeps that harmony and that rhythm of music still moving through you. Don't you think that every person ought to have a literal type of rhythm to their life? But hey, if you don't take care of yourself, you kind of look in the mirror or you're doing some things for the day and you look at yourself, you're still in the same place. So each one of these steps is moving you up and out of being in that unmotivated place. Now, probably head into your office or maybe you can go look at the kitchen and you'll notice that your unmotivated state that you're in actually affected the condition of your office or your home. And there might be a few things to pick up and put away. But if it looks overwhelming, don't try to do it all at once, but do clean up something. Clean up yourself and then clean up something of your own personal items, or maybe your office or your side of the bed, or just make your side of the bed or something. But if you don't have the power to clean up the things around you, your atmosphere and your environment can reshape you and put you into that zone of being unmotivated. Because when you do better and your environment does better, you can lock yourselves in on that higher level of existence up here and not be so down here. Because when a messy office stays messy, it can pull you back down. When your bedroom stays messy, it can pull you back down. And environment's powerful, so do a little bit of cleanup in your environment, but really clean up who you are. It makes a super, super big difference. Now, this one right here, this is powerful. The walk and talk, or the talk and walk, whichever way you want to say it. But I can tell you this, that those people I mentor and I coach that really want to be on a really high level of success, they've got to get outside and they've got to go for a walk. And they've got to talk while they're walking. Now, here's the magic behind it. What you do is, when you go to leave your house, you go for a 15-minute walk. And as you're walking for that 15 minutes, what you do is you kind of talk about all the things that are tough and rough and difficult in your life for 15 minutes going one direction. And that's your unload zone. Then when you turn around to walk back to your home, you got a 15-minute walk back, but now the rule is all you talk about is what's great. All you talk about is the great people in your life, the great experiences, the great moments. So 15 minutes walk away from your home, talk about all the tough and rough and difficult things that are going on, because you have them going on, but they can get bottled up inside your head or inside your chest, and that can weigh on you and throw you back into that zone. But when you go for a walk and you unload that, and then you come back to the house, really talking about those things that you're grateful for, that 15-minute walk out and that 15-minute walk back can be super powerful for you. The other beautiful thing about this that you may not notice, but the power of nature outside. Even if you live in a busy area or a busy neighborhood, just getting outside. I mean, because when you're unmotivated, you don't go outside, do you? You close the blinds, you sit on the couch, you watch TV, you watch way too much TV, or you're sleeping too much, and you kind of got that cave kind of thing going on. Like you're hibernating or something, and it's time to get you out of hibernation. And go outside and literally go for that walk, but talk while you're walking. I know, neighbors are gonna see you probably, but they're not gonna know what you're talking about. Now imagine this, you walk right up to the front door of your home. You've been walking for 15 minutes talking about all the good, and you open up your door. Where's all that goodness go? It goes right through your front door and fills up the place that you live. So you're literally building that up and bringing that back home with you. So that, I know, unmotivated means you're in a cave-like situation. So getting you outside and going for that walk, and if 15 minutes is way too long, whoa, that's way too long. Okay, 5 minutes out, 5 minutes back. And if that's good, okay, then you did that for that day. But tomorrow you do it again. The next day you do it again. Do you really want to go back to this? Do you really want to be there? Are you kidding? That's going to eat you up. These 5 ways right here that I got for you here, they work every time. Do you have to do all 5? Well, if you do all 5, it's like I said, it's going to guarantee you can hold yourself up here in this zone of success and being motivated and being, all about life and about people. If you do one of them, it'll give you like a temporary moment of relief, but it doesn't change you. But you do all 5, which is super simple. 2 or 3 songs. Take a moment to vent. Create a list of 10 things that you're grateful for. Clean up a little bit and go for a walk. That whole process right there, what? 25 minutes? It's a life changer. It's a game changer. But the most important thing is remember is you are the way you are because of choice. Not because of what somebody else did to you. Not because of what they said or this person said or what happened. It's really because of a way of choice. But you still may be living in that place where you're reacting to things around you. And the only way you're going to get out of that, of being in a place of reacting to what's going on around you, is to be in a place of creating what's going on around you. And these 5 steps right here is going to help you create the kind of life you really want to have. I mean, imagine this. You got harmony in your soul. You've cleared your voice and got all that stuff off your chest. You're going to feel a ton better. Right here, seeing the things in life that you're grateful for. Cleaning up always feels good. I mean, it just feels good. And then to walk and talk, you got yourself back connected to nature. and you feel life. Life is moving through you. So my friend, today's the day. Don't let that unmotivated feeling sit any longer. Go turn on some music and have a game-changing moment happen today. And in one step, just one simple step, will give you the power to move to the next step and to the next one and the next one. So get the music turned on and get yourself out of this zone. What do you do to get motivated? Come on, share your secrets, comment below. What do you do to get yourself motivated? Hey, and by the way, subscribe and ring the bell, because I got another great training for you coming tomorrow.